This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. The holidays are over, the decorations are down, and suddenly everything feels a little empty. It's normal to feel the winter blues after the holiday excitement. January, February, and March are by far my least favorite months of the year. It's cold and dark, and I have to get some extra vitamin D on board. I also need to keep my regular scheduled appointments with my therapist. So if you're feeling that post-holiday funk, I definitely suggest you checking out BetterHelp because maybe it's time to talk. You might also be one of those people like me who makes New Year's resolutions and you get super motivated. So maybe you need someone behind you to hold you accountable and come up with a plan to meet your goals. BetterHelp is super convenient, totally online. You have a therapist right at your fingertips whenever you need them. So head over to betterhelp.com/wifeofcrime1 to get 10% off your first month. That's betterhelp.com/wifeofcrime1 for 10% off your first month.
This podcast is an unscripted, unedited conversation about true crime. We take the cases very seriously, but I don't take myself seriously at all. And neither should you. Welcome to Wife of Crime.
So, Russ, have I got a story for you today? This case has been suggested so many times over the course of the last 2 years that we've been doing this podcast. And it's truly a fascinating case. So many people have covered it. But it happens to be a case from my hometown, and it's always stuck with me. There are so many weird things about it. This is the mysterious death of Rey Rivera. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Wife of Crime, a true crime podcast where I tell my husband, Russ, true crime stories and he reacts to them.
What's up, folks? It's me again, aka how did I get here as a true crime host?
I'm Jess, and you didn't say your name. Your name is Russ.
Oh, me, Russ. What would your aka be?
Jess, aka, I don't know. I don't know what my aka would be.
AKA my husband's always wrong even when he's right?
That's a good one. That is true. Yeah. AKA I'm always right.
Even when I'm wrong.
I'm noticing your shirt.
Oh, Dare?
The Dare shirt. I have a story about that.
You have a story? It's normally me.
Yeah, I have a story about Dare. So when I was a kid in the Dare program, they don't have that anymore because I don't know why they stopped Dare.
Because they encourage kids to do drugs now.
Drug abuse resistance education, and a cop would come. I mean, I don't know. I wonder when they cut that off. There's probably some listeners that didn't have the Dare program, but when we were kids,
and
we
they're
had
high
it.
right now.
They're high right now, exactly. So when I was a kid, my mom took me to a lot of concerts because my mom was a young mom. I mean, she had me when she was 19.
She was like the cool mom from Mean Girl.
No, she wasn't like that. Oh, come on. No. So my mom used to take me to a lot of concerts. I went to the band live to see the band live. Have you ever heard of that band?
They're alive?
Lightning crashes, a new mother dies. You know that song?
No, I was
very
probably
90s grunge.
in the midst of the cult epidemic going on in my household.
So my mom took me to see a lot of bands because she wanted to go to these concerts, and I listened to the music with her, and I was like her little best friend. So when I was in 5th grade and the Dare officer came, the night before our first Dare, I went to a live concert, and in our section, there was a lot of people smoking weed. And so my mom bought me a t-shirt. So, of course, the next day, I was like, oh, I want to wear the t-shirt of the concert because I thought it was so cool, obviously, because I went to a concert and I was only, I was 11 in 5th grade. So I went to school with this shirt on, but it reeked of weed, like reeked of weed. And my teacher pulled me aside and was like, were you around people doing drugs or whatever? And I had to tell, and I had to tell her that I went to a concert the night before, and that's why my shirt smelled like weed. But I didn't realize it smelled like weed. I didn't even know what weed smelled like back then. I was only 11, so I didn't smoke yet.
Was your mom smoking weed?
No, you know my mother. Come on, she's a goody. She doesn't smoke.
I don't know. She ventured out and she drinks a little bit of Malibu now.
Now she drinks some Malibu Bay Breezes.
That's everyone's first drink. It's kind of like just the tip. It's that game too. It's just the start. Next thing you know, you're down in bottles of Henny.
Nah, she would never. She does her little Malibu Bay Breezes and some margaritas. But yeah, I just thought that was really funny. Your shirt reminded me of that they were like concerned that I was in a household full of druggies. Little do they know, my mom was like such a goody. She never did any of that stuff.
Yeah, like she holds in her farts till her stomach hurts and has to go to the hospital.
No, she doesn't.
Yeah. All right, so my little quick thing this week, Ray Liotta died, which is very sad. Goodfellas legend.
R.I.P.
R.I.P. Ray Liotta.
Everyone should go watch the movie Goodfellas in honor of Ray Liotta. He was like such a great gangster actor, like great mafia actor.
All right, so now I'm going to do my jobs.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
I'm going to do review of the week. I have it here God damn it.
You lost it?
Yeah, I'm looking in the screenshots part of my phone. Wait, it is a screenshot. All right, here it goes. It's 5 stars from Brian Marie. It says, Russ knows my inner thoughts, 5 stars. Let's be real. Jess is the person we want to be, and Russ is the person who we really are. Everything I'm thinking, Russ has the guts to say out loud. Love it! Exclamation point.
Aw, that's good.
Yeah, that was good. She even complimented Jess.
Yeah, that was nice. Normally all the reviews are just complimenting Russ.
Or shitting on me.
Or shitting on you. That's true. It's very polarized.
Yeah.
It's either they love you or they hate you.
We never got a 1 star for you, only for me.
That's true. I never got a 1 star.
Even the lady that told you to divorce me.
What a jerk, honestly. Like, why would you say that about someone? Anyway.
Probably because she's lonely and has, like, potato chip crumbs on her chest while she's watching reruns of the same TV show all day of, like freaking, what's those? All My Children type of shows.
Soap operas?
Yeah, she definitely has mad chips on her chest. And she got the big bag. Probably not even from the Coke. She don't even got a membership. She ain't cool enough to go to the Coke. You probably got a Walmart membership. You don't even need a membership.
So random,
they let everybody in there. Even you, woman who wanted Jess to divorce me.
Whatever. She doesn't listen anymore. Who cares?
You probably the person that holds up the self-checkout line. She don't even know how to use it that well.
All right. Shout out the patrons.
Oh, yeah. My homies.
Yeah.
All right. So this is our patron. We have a patron where we have... Right now, I feel like a shitload of episodes. It's like a lot of extra content if you run out. Or you just want to come over there, talk shit. We like talk shit and give you stuff. So
it's a really good sales pitch for the patron. You want to come over there, we talk shit and give you stuff.
And we have extra episodes and videos, and you get like a cup or a button or something.
A magnet. Yes.
It's like, it's a refrigerator button. That's what I was thinking. It's like All right. So this week's patrons are Chelsea, Gretchen, Sir Shake and Bake. I think that's the guy that made the first DNA shop.
He did. He made the first DNA shop out of his dog's house.
Yo, that was dope.
It was dope.
That was dope. Callie, Teresa, Nicole, Edna, Mia, Alfredo, Heather, Carrie, Megan, and David. So, I got my little handy fridge here.
Yes.
Cheers to you guys.
Oh, I opened one too. Look at that.
Oh, Jess is going to stutter now. She always stutters when she drinks and tells the story.
Cheers to you guys.
Much appreciated.
Definitely. So this month on the Patreon, we are covering the documentary Our Father. It's a new documentary that just came out on Netflix, and all these people have been messaging us, everybody, about covering it because apparently it's crazy. It's about a doctor who was a fertility specialist and actually used his own semen to impregnate hundreds of people, and he has hundreds of children in the world now. It's very ethically horrible, and I'm really interested to watch it and interested to talk about it. It's going to be very, very fascinating.
Actually, right after this, I have to go watch the documentary, then come back to this table end record, so we're doing 2 in one day.
We're doing a double shift.
And Jess is like, don't drink too much. You're going to be too drunk.
I did say that.
So these were my first drinks, but now I have like 2 because I did a cheers.
So you have 2 open.
Yeah, and I even got a Pellegrino, but everything's like low sugar and stuff because summer's coming and...
Time to get your body back.
You know, you don't want to be... Operation Unwashed now in progress.
Yes, Operation Unwashed, for sure. All right, so mysterious death cases. They are such head scratchers, man. They are some of my absolute favorites, I have to say. But they are the most frustrating cases to research and cover.
They're unsolved.
Yes. And they're very mysterious. In 2020, the new Netflix version of Unsolved Mysteries came out, which it was very good, by the way. Everyone should go watch it.
Is that the thing we went to the premiere of?
No, that was Forensic Files.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. The Unsolved Mysteries, you know, remember it used to be hosted by Robert Slack back in the day.
I don't know any slackers.
Unsolved Mysteries. You know Unsolved Mysteries.
I heard of it.
You never watched it?
Maybe. Did he have like a creepy voice?
Yeah, he had like a, only you can solve the mystery.
I only watched America's Most Wanted.
Okay, well, Unsolved Mysteries was a show that was on for a bazillion years when we were younger in the 90s, 80s, 90s, and it's one of the best shows of all time, and I'm actually shocked that you haven't seen it or don't recall seeing it, but Robert Slack used to host it, and it was an amazing show, but then it went off air for a long time. Netflix brought it back in 2020, and they covered a case that is super weird and super crazy, and I'm going to tell you that case today.
They bring back everything that's washed.
Hmm?
They unwashing everything.
What do you mean?
Like all the shows that were like canceled or all the actors that haven't worked in 10, 20 years.
Yeah.
They all get a show.
Well, they did an amazing job on this Unsolved Mysteries, this version of it. And one of the cases they cover is one from my hometown of Baltimore, Maryland. So this is the mysterious death of Rey Rivera. This case is so odd and has so many layers and theories, and it begs the question, how well do you actually know the people closest to you? Is everything really what it seems? Or are there secrets that your loved ones aren't telling you?
There are.
Secrets so dangerous that this could end in their death. Are you ready?
Yes, there are secrets.
Yes.
Like last week, I thought I knew you until you said Zac Efron is a good actor, a great actor.
I said he was good.
I thought I knew you.
I didn't say he was great. I said he was hot and a good actor. That's what I said.
No, you didn't say hot first. You said you're watching this show, this movie, which is at best. It was okay.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, he's really a good actor, as he doesn't stop whispering through the whole damn scene. But go ahead.
Okay.
I thought I knew you. You never really know people.
Are you ready?
Yes.
So, Rey Rivera was raised in Winter Park, Florida, with his parents and 2 siblings, Angel and Elena. Angel is a guy. Growing up, Rey was both athletic and very creative. He was one of those people who was really good at a lot of things.
Reminds me of myself.
I could have literally typed what you were going to say on that part. I knew as I was typing this, I was like, he's going to say, this reminds me of myself.
Because you know I'm good at stuff. He was like, well, he's going to have to say it because he is.
He was a musician and creative writer, but he also played a lot of sports and was actually really good at them. Rey went to college and majored in English because he was very passionate about writing screenplays, and he aspired to one day move to Hollywood and write screenplays for TV and film. But he was also a really good water polo player, and he ended up playing it in college. And in 1994, he actually got invited to the U.S. Olympic Festival.
Wow. I feel like water polo is probably like a very suburban rich person sport.
I don't know, because I thought that tennis was, from where I grew up, no one plays tennis unless you're rich. And I moved here and I found out that you grew up in the hood and played tennis. So
yeah,
I think it depends on where you live.
They tried to get me to play tennis in high school because I was good at it.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to do it. I was like, that's for herbs. But I played like a couple games for them, and then I was like, I don't want to do this no more.
Well, I thought that was a rich person's sport. And then I came here and found out that in the hood in the Bronx, you play tennis, which is very random to me. But I think it depends on where you live. He's from Florida, so water polo is probably like more of a thing down there.
I didn't hate tennis because it was kind of like playing baseball, and to me, and you just didn't have to wait your turn to hit the ball. I was like, this ain't bad.
So he ended up getting invited to the U.S. Olympic Festival. I didn't know what the Olympic Festival was. It's actually held by the Olympic Committee in between the years of the Olympics. And what they do is they have it's an event where like all these U.S. athletes go and compete in like smaller versions of the games. And they get invited to the Olympic Games from here. So they kind of get scouted at this festival to then be a part of the Olympic Games. At this time, the 1996 Olympic Games in Atlanta was 2 years away.
Wasn't there a bomb in there or something?
I don't remember. It does sound familiar, but I
up.
don't remember.
Yeah, I hear that the Olympic festivals and houses and all that stuff, I hear it's just like one big orgy between all the athletes.
Really?
Yeah, you've never heard that?
No, I never heard. I didn't even, honestly, until I researched this case, I didn't even know there was such a thing as an Olympic festival. I just knew about the Olympic Games, but I didn't know about the festival beforehand.
Yeah, Atlanta Olympic bombing. Hold up, it's
Oh, wow.
my internet's a little slow here, but I'll get back to you when it happened in 1996. There was a park bombing by a domestic terrorist, a pipe bomb, during the on the Olympic Park in Atlanta, in 1996.
Well, he was at the festival.
It killed one person and injured 111 others.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it's pretty big.
That's crazy.
We got to stop all this violence.
I know, we really do.
Crazy,
this is
man.
crazy. Well, he was at the festival preparing for the Olympic Games in Atlanta. That was 2 years away because this was 1994 at the time. So Rey graduated college in 1996 and was actually hired by the Royal Spanish Federation to join their water polo team all the way out in Spain. So he moved to Spain.
Wait, is he from Spain? Like his heritage?
No, he's from Puerto Rico. His heritage is Puerto Rican. And he lives in Florida.
But you can't play for the Spain Olympics unless you're from Spain.
Probably not. No.
Oh,
he got hired by the Spanish Federation to join their water polo team.
Oh, like they got a crew.
Yeah. So he moved to Spain and he taught English lessons on the side for extra cash. After living in Spain for a while, he gets a call from the U.S. Olympic water polo team and they want him. So this was like his huge moment.
Wow.
He flew to Los Angeles to train and he was so excited. But unfortunately, 2 weeks before the games, Rey got into an argument with his coach and he was cut from the team.
Yeah, but if the Olympics called you personally.
Yeah, well, he got in an argument with his coach and he was cut from the team and he couldn't go to the Olympics in 96. Which, looking back, if there was a bombing, then maybe that might have been something that saved his life. You never know.
You know, it's like the butterfly effect.
It is.
Best actor of all time is Ashton Kutcher.
Shut up.
So hot.
So Rey was devastated. And a lot of his friends and family say he really regretted this. Like, this was a huge regret in his life that he got into this argument with his coach. And he was like looking back, he's like, what is wrong with me? You know, at the time, he's probably in his, young, early 20s. And I don't know the ins and outs of what the argument consisted of, but it was something that he deeply regretted.
All testosteroned up and stuff. And,
yeah.
You know, being on the Olympics for the Marco Polo team, like, that's really good.
It's not Marco Polo, Russ.
I was nice at Marco Polo.
I bet you were. So Rey was actually 6'5". He was a big dude. He was 6'5", muscular, athletic. I don't know how much he weighed, but according to everybody around him, like, he was one of those people who is just naturally really gifted when it comes to sports and stuff. So for him not to make it to the Olympics, it was a huge devastating blow to his ego, and he was really pissed off at himself and regretted it highly because it was essentially his fault because he got into an argument.
Yeah, and you're wasting your athletic abilities. Like,
Exactly.
You only have them when you're young, and you don't sometimes realize what you had until it's gone.
Yeah,
You
and
know,
that's
like,
what happened with
I
him.
wasn't a super elite athlete, but, I had a couple knee surgeries, and I'm like, I was pretty good at some sports, and I like to go out and play, but now it's, like, tough.
Yeah.
But I still do it sometimes.
So now Ray is living in California, and he began working on a screenplay because, remember, aside from swimming and athletics, he loved to write. And he was one of those people who is full of ideas. He had paper all over the place of him just writing down all these ideas for different screenplays for TV shows and film. He was also a water polo coach, and he decided to do that as like an outlet so that he could coach. He's not necessarily doing the sport anymore, but now he's a part of the sport still. He then got a job working in the admissions department at the Los Angeles Film School, which was perfect for him because he could take film classes for free. And I really loved this about him because, and it's honestly really inspiring to me because he seemed like he was one of those guys that he had these specific few passions and he revolved his life and sought out jobs working close to or within that realm of his passions. And I thought that was really cool. Like he coached water polo, he went to the film academy, and these are things that he loved to do. So he tried to find jobs working in that field. And that's really inspiring to me because
I encourage everyone to do something like that because, if you do what you like life is better. Like I just do what I do for money.
Exactly.
And it's, it's a good living, but I get no satisfaction out of it. It's like I just do my job.
You just go there, you work, you leave. And, I'm a nurse and I really like being a nurse. And there's part of nursing that is so cool and fascinating to me. And I loved ER nursing. I just left ER nursing and I absolutely loved it. It's a great career, but I love writing and podcasting. And even as I wrote this script, I still always think like, what would happen if I just applied to This American Life? And, it's my all-time absolute number one podcast of all time. And they have an internship. And what would happen if I just applied there?
Well,
and left nursing and just did that.
But I think different in your case. Like, you don't need This American Life because you have your own podcast that is successful and getting millions of views.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to get off too much on a tangent, but I found this really inspiring that this is something that Ray really cared about. And he just kind of revolved all of his jobs around his passions. And I think that's so cool. I really do.
That's cool. Jess wanted to get off the subject real fast when we were talking about her quitting her job and going for podcasting. Because she just got a new job.
I did. I love my new job.
You can quit that motherfucker too.
I do love my new job.
It's a good job, and she knows a couple people that listen to it. So she said that just in case. But she does like it, and they do treat her well.
They do.
Not like that shitty ass ER. If any of you are listening, treat your employees better. I know a couple of you listen.
So and
let them take poop breaks. Just hold her poop in the whole
stop.
shift.
No, I didn't. I held my pee.
Poop is a little easier to hold. You can clench.
So in the year 2000, Ray met his wife, Allison Jones. The two had so much in common. Both were athletic and both loved writing. Allison was an accountant and was working for a company that helped businesses get their budgets in order. So the two fell in love like pretty fast because they had so much in common. And Ray proposed to Allison in 2004. So they were together about 4 years before they got engaged.
Okay.
They were living in LA, which is really expensive. And both of them were doing pretty well, but definitely didn't feel like they had enough money to buy a house or support a family. So Ray was looking for more lucrative work so the two of them could make some big moves and prepare for their future. So one of Ray's childhood friends and teammates all through high school and college, his name was Frank Porter Stansberry. We're going to call him Porter throughout this because that's what everyone calls him. That's what his friends call him, Porter Stansberry.
Your mama name you Frank? I'm going to call you Frank.
No, we're going to call him Porter so we don't get confused.
Okay.
We know how you are with names. So Porter was working in Baltimore as a pretty high up executive for a company called Agora. Okay, I want you to remember this.
I'm writing it down. Sometimes I write down these words because after the podcast is over, Jess is like, you need to pay attention.
So this company is a bit weird. And to be honest, after really looking into this case and researching this, it kind of gave me some like shady Ponzi vibes.
What did they do, sell? What was their service? What are they?
Well, I'm not going to get in too deep about the interworkings of what it was. But all you really need to know is that it was a finance-based publishing company that branched out to like 8 different publishing houses underneath of this umbrella. And what they kind of did was they offered newsletters and subscriptions for people who wanted to know like what stocks are going to be hot and stuff about the stock market and like financial, how to get rich pretty much.
It sounds like they are a professional junk mail sender.
It's definitely junk mail vibes. They kind of, what they would do, I'm kind of getting off my script.
They could get back if you want, because they sound annoying.
What they would
Take me off your list, Agora.
So what they would do is they would send out these like monthly subscription-based newsletters. And there was like newsletters and software that investors would use to get info on the stock market. So they would claim that, what stock's getting hot. We have this inside info. Pay this much and we'll give you this. If you want to know what stock to invest in this week, pay this much and I'll send you the stock. It was like one of those.
I got to not buy stocks. Everything I buy goes to shit.
Well, I don't know.
Never take advice from me. Your boy loses money.
They kind of reminded me of like palm readers on the boardwalk of like Ocean City. Like, those palm readers. And like, they give you just enough info to get you hooked in. Like
the ones that we walk by and you'd be like, Russ, we should go in there.
Well, I like tarot cards. Don't get me wrong. I've gone to tarot card readers. I love tarot cards.
Spell it.
Tarot.
I thought you spelled it like, just spell it like Bullshit.
Haha. Tarot card readers. Anyway, so they reminded me of the palm readers like on the boardwalk in Ocean City, because you walk in, they give you a little bit of info to get hooked. And then they're like, well, if you want to know the rest, $5 more, $10 more. It's kind of like what they did,
and
with subscriptions.
I'm going to be the guy. You should have knew not to ask me if I want a tarot card reading before, because you knew I was going to say no. So you knew who not to ask walking down the boardwalk.
In 2003, the SEC was called by tons of investors who lost a lot of money because they listened to a tip from Porter Stansberry. So Porter calls Ray, okay, and he says, listen, I need help for this project. I need help with this project that I'm doing for this company. I want to make like a short PSA type of film. I know that you worked at the Film Academy and you're familiar with film and stuff like that. So I want to make these like short little films for my subscribers, just assuring them that the company was still in good standing and still can be trusted, because there's all these rumors about
What year was this again?
This is 2004.
Okay.
So this project was only going to be about 30 days. So Ray agreed. He's like, okay, I'm going to fly out to Baltimore, do this project. It'll take me about a month. I'm going to make a nice chunk of money, and then I'll come back to California. So he ended up staying right in Mount Vernon at the Peabody Hotel. Mount Vernon is literally where my high school was, Baltimore School for the Arts, shout out. It's like an old historic part of Baltimore, and this is where the Agora headquarters was. The project was completed after 30 days, and Porter decided to present Ray with an offer. He says, look, how would you like to move to Baltimore? I can pay you great money, way more money than you're making. You already love writing. You can write for one of my newsletters and move out here, make some money, and get yourself set up for the future.
Baltimore wasn't that nice then.
2004, it was nice then.
Nah, it's nice now.
No, it really was nice then.
Oh.
Yeah, it wasn't terrible then.
That was the Wire time.
No, that was the 90s, Russ. That was like 96, 94, 96. That was the Wires. Anyway, so he says, move out here. We'll get you can make some great money out here. You can write for my newsletter. And you and your wife will kind of get set up for the future, because he was planning to pay him like a good amount of money.
That guy sounds like a scammer.
Yeah, well, we'll get into him later. So Allison and Ray decide to make this bold move across the country because they're from California. You know, they've been living in California for years now.
They don't even know what winter is, probably.
Yeah.
Get ready, suckers.
Now, Ray literally knew nothing about money management. Stocks and bonds, nothing. He was actually notoriously bad with money, according to his wife, Allison. But the couple knew Ray wouldn't be making this money in the current jobs he was working in LA. And this is an opportunity for them to spend about 2 years. They kind of made a plan. They were like, all right, let's do this for 2 years. Let's rack up this money, and then we'll come back to LA. And that was their plan.
I thought when you said he offered him a job, he probably was offering him a job in something like filmmaking, because that's what he does, and he just made like a little thing for him.
No.
Oh, so you offered him a job in finance?
He offered him a job writing for the newsletter that he sends out to his investors saying what stocks are hot and shit.
Well, I would assume someone would tell him what stocks were hot, and then he would spice it up a little.
No, it was his job.
Oh, so just write anything about any stock. You pick a stock.
His job to research the stock market and write for this newsletter.
This is why I need to stop picking stocks from the guys that tell me to buy them on YouTube.
Yeah, definitely.
God damn it. You guys got me.
So Ray and Allison moved to North Baltimore, about 20 minutes outside the city. And this area is called Original Northwood. And it's a really nice area. There's like big old historic houses. Like it's a good area of Baltimore. Ray must have been really bringing in some great income because the couple purchased their first home, which was a 4-bedroom, 3-bathroom, for $280,000. This was 2004. So this must have been a pretty nice house. $280,000 in Baltimore in 2004. So the house was not small.
I don't know.
Yeah, it was a nice house.
Now for $280,000, you can't buy a barn with all this.
No, not on the East Coast anyway. So I'm curious why they didn't rent. Like if their plan was, we're going to move out here, spend 2 years and move back to LA, I was curious why they went and bought a property instead of renting. But maybe they thought, it would be a good investment.
Sometimes you fall in love with a property and like, oh, maybe we could live here.
According to a lot of stuff I read on Reddit, because I got a lot of my information from Reddit. According to a lot of the stuff I read, they fell in love with this house because they didn't like Baltimore and they weren't really they were lonely. They weren't really happy here. Ray tried to be friends with the guys he worked with, but the guys he worked with were a bunch of like schmoozy, like flaunting their money type of dudes. This is not who Ray was. All they wanted to do was work and then go have martinis after work, smoke cigars, and brag about all the money they had. And Ray's not that guy. So
they were corns.
Yeah, definitely corns. So according to friends and family, and according to his wife, Allison, this property kind of became their sanctuary in a area that they weren't super fond of, and they didn't really have any friends. All they had was each other. She was working out there too, and she met a few coworkers that she liked, but like they didn't really connect in Baltimore with some people. So they must have fallen in love, like you said, with this property, and that kind of became their sanctuary.
Yeah, I can see that.
So Ray started writing a weekly newsletter called The Rebound Report. And this was the newsletter that was supposedly telling people about what stocks to invest in and stuff like that. And Allison says it was really tough for him. He didn't care about investing. He didn't care about money management. He didn't care about this stupid newsletter. He just did it for the money because it was exponentially more money than he's used to making.
Like
I feel like you can relate to that in a lot of ways. Like you do your job because it's a great income, but you really don't like it or care about it.
No, I'm a sucker.
Well,
someone save me.
Well, he was pretty unhappy. He hated his job. And over the first few weeks and months, it was a very tense and kind of depressing time for him. Up until now, like I said, I was really inspired by him because he was only working in fields related to his passions. So this was really hard for him to get used to, and it honestly made him pretty depressed. He also had no friends. He didn't relate to anybody at his job. He didn't have anything in common with anybody. So what he ended up doing was just playing video games all night, to kind of numb his mind. He
That
would work all
sounds
day
amazing.
and play video games all night. But
That's
you're
all I wanna
somebody
do.
who loves video games.
Yeah, I like to play video games. I could play with my friends, or I could play with little kids and make fun of their moms.
But he's not a big video game dude. I think he just kind of did it out of not having anything else to do and wanting some mind-numbing thing to do.
Yeah, I don't need to. I could just like play video games and like ride my bike and like, you know, Biggie and you, and that's all I need.
Well, Ray was continuing to work on a screenplay, but he seemed to be a little bit blocked. He kind of had some writer's block going on. He started attending a Catholic church down the street. He never really considered himself to be like super religious, but I think the Catholic church kind of reminded him of his family and his traditions, and it just kind of made him feel more comfortable. So him and his wife decided to go to this Catholic church down the street. And it was actually really good for him because he started making friends. And he eventually met the head coach of the Johns Hopkins Blue Jays water polo team. And after the coach got to know Ray and heard about his impressive experience, he offered him an assistant coaching position. So Ray and Allison were making more friends at their church. And over the course of the first 6 months, Ray now started having outlets. So he wasn't just working and sitting at home alone anymore. Now he's going and he's an assistant coach for this Johns Hopkins water polo team that gave him a purpose. It made him excited.
Giving long hugs, like the long, slow hug the church hug. I hate that.
Well, he started playing less video games and he started using his time to coach water polo, and then he started writing a script again. His writer's block kind of lifted and he was able to write. So over the next few months, Ray told Allison, look, I honestly can't do this anymore. I hate this job. And the two spoke about his true passions and what he really wanted out of life. So Allison and Ray took out a $15,000 cash advance from one of their credit cards, and Ray purchased video and recording equipment because Ray decided he was going to resign from this company, from Agora, and start his own video production company.
Love that.
And he named it Saba Productions.
Love that jump.
Yeah, he just jumped. He was done, which is really cool to me.
Yeah, because when you get old, everyone always regrets the chances they didn't take.
Absolutely. So Ray quits Agora, but still remains cool with his friend Porter. He's known Porter his entire life. You know, they're childhood friends. He remains cool with him. And Porter invites him to the annual Agora conference and offers him this opportunity. He's like, all right, you have all this recording equipment. If you don't want to work here, cool. But why don't you come to the conference, film the entire thing? That way we can sell DVDs to all of our subscribers who couldn't make it. You can produce the DVDs, we'll sell it. And that way you can still make money while you're here, get you some more money before you head back to LA. So Ray and Allison were like, perfect, great idea. Let's put our house up for sale. So they put it up in April of 2006 and planned to return to LA as soon as the house sold. But Ray and Allison would never return to LA. Last year, Save More Money was the most popular New Year's resolution in America. Clearly, a lot of us feel like our money is slipping through our fingers. Well, I don't know about you, but I'm not the best saver, and I don't know much about investing until I started saving and investing with Acorns. Turns out you don't have to be an expert at all because Acorns will recommend a diversified portfolio that fits you and your money goals. And I always thought that when people say, ooh, I invest in stocks, that they had a ton of money or something. Well, you don't need to be rich. Acorns lets you invest with the spare money you've got right now. You can literally start with $5. And you know you guys are spending that at Starbucks on these fancy lattes. So skip the coffee and invest with Acorns. You don't even need a ton of time. Like you can just sign up and start investing within 5 minutes. Head over to acorns.com/wifeofcrime or download the Acorns app to start saving and investing for your future today. That's acorns.com/wifeofcrime. You guys already know because we have been talking about them for a while now. Via Hemp is by far one of our favorite sponsors we've ever had, okay? We use their products all the time. Maybe you're a little like me. You're a little anxious. You have a hard time settling down. You're kind of wound up a lot. If that's you, Via Hemp products are for you. Check out their website. You will find something that speaks to you. Maybe you're like Russ. You have a hard time sleeping because you have bad nerve pain or chronic pain. Then Via Hemp is for you because their gummies will help you get some quality sleep. Maybe you're looking to have a really good time. Maybe you just really like edibles. You want to laugh. You want to get the munchies. You want to watch a movie and have a really strong belly laugh. Then Via Hemp products are for you, okay? They're literally for everybody. So head over to viahemp.com, promo code wifeofcrime1 to get 15% off your first order. That's VIIAHEMP.com. Wife of Crime #1 for 15% off your first order. Around the same time that they listed their property for sale in April, Rey started acting really differently. According to Allison, he got pretty paranoid, like more paranoid than normal, and he seemed to be acting like tense and anxious all the time. She said one instance in particular that really threw her off that Allison would go running a lot because at this time she was actually training for a triathlon. Kudos to her.
I could do one of them, but I don't like swimming.
Well, she was training for this triathlon.
So I can't do one of them.
So she was running a lot.
She was in good shape.
Good shape. And she ran on this track near their house. And she ran there many times alone. But over the last few weeks, Rey insisted on coming with her. And he never did that before. One day in particular, it was starting to rain. So Rey, he would usually sit on the bleachers and read a book while she would run, you know. But this time he ended up sitting in the car because it was raining. But she wanted to run anyway because she's trying to prepare for this triathlon. And a man was on the track and started walking right towards her. Rey sees this, jumps out of the car, and starts running towards her. And as soon as the man sees Rey, he turns around and walks the opposite direction.
It wasn't fishy until the guy turned around. But then also Rey was running.
Yeah, he was running towards his wife. Also, on May 15th...
Wait a minute, I'm sorry to go back.
Mm-hmm.
Did his wife know that he was there watching her run?
Yeah. No, she was weirded out by the whole last few weeks because over that course of a few weeks, he kept insisting on coming with her. And he wouldn't tell her why, and he never did that before.
Oh, see, when I thought you said he was coming with her, I thought you meant that he was going with her and he was running.
No. I said he was sitting on the bleachers reading a book while she would run.
Oh, I'm sorry, I missed that.
And then this time it was raining, so he sat in the car and waited for her. And he could see her, like the track was a pretty decent distance away. He could see her out of the car, and then as soon as he sees this guy, he runs towards her.
So something might be going on.
Exactly. Also, on May 15th, at around 1 a.m., the security alarm in their home goes off. Allison's woken up, out of a sleep from this alarm, runs downstairs, and Rey is there in the living room with a baseball bat over his head, and he looks terrified. And she said she's never seen him like this before. Like, he was super terrified. He had this baseball bat, and she's like, what's going on? But they called the cops. The cops looked around the house, and there was nothing there. So the cops said maybe it was some squirrels that caused your alarm to go off.
I don't think that's weird that he was down there with a baseball bat when his security alarm went off.
I don't think it's necessarily
weird at all.
Weird, but what she's saying is that they had lived there now. At this point, it's 2 years almost that they've lived there. And alarms have never gone off before. They live in a decent part.
That's why when it goes off, he could be down there with the baseball bat, and that's not weird. Your alarm never goes off.
What was weird to her was how afraid he was.
No, that's not weird.
Well, to her it was. I'm just telling you what she said.
No, that part is wrong because
it doesn't matter what you think. I'm telling you what she said.
He can be afraid, but at least he wasn't cowering. He was down there with a bat, like, you don't want this smoke, don't come in the house.
Absolutely. So I'm just telling you what she said. This is not my opinion.
Don't play Rey.
So the next night, around the same time, the alarm goes off again. Now that's a little weird. 2 nights in a row, around 1 a.m., the alarm goes off. It's been 2 years. No alarm has ever gone off. The two of them search the house. Both of them were freaked out, but there was nothing there.
And the squirrel thing is bullshit. Because has any one of you ever seen a squirrel at night? No, neither have I.
Yes, there's squirrels at night. What do they do? Sleep?
They probably go to their crib. Do you ever see a squirrel at night? They only come out during. I never seen one at night.
I've never thought about it.
Think about it.
I guess if I think about it, I haven't necessarily. I don't know. I've never thought about it before.
They go home.
Maybe they do go home.
Yeah, so that's bullshit. Maybe there's a raccoon.
Maybe a raccoon or something.
Maybe they switch spots.
But it's weird, like 1 a.m., 2 nights in a row around the same time. But also, you have to remember the context. Over the course of this few weeks, Ray was acting different. He'd insisted on coming when she ran. He was acting weird. And now the alarm goes off 2 days in a row at 1 a.m.
So how would you feel if you were her? Like, how would you feel if you went running all the time and I wanted to go with you, but not to run, just to sit there?
You and I have a very different relationship because I would literally be like, what the hell is going on? Why are you acting like this? And I would insist on you telling me. And you, being the person you are, would 1000% tell me right away.
Well, yeah, because you always, what's the word I always use?
I don't know, but you are a very honest person, so you would tell me right away. So Allison wanted to ease Ray's mind, and the couple decided to take a vacation before returning to LA. They planned this Mexican vacation. They were like, you know what? This has been a kind of a tough 2 years. Let's go on this awesome all-inclusive, get our mind right, relax, and then we'll head back to LA and start grinding again. So they booked this vacation, and they planned it for, the middle of the summer, and they were both really looking forward to it. She also kind of suggested it because of the way he was acting. He was acting super tense and anxious all the time, and she was like, maybe he just really needs like a vacation to
Work
relax.
and do that, man.
So on the morning of May 16th, Allison packs her bags because she is going for a quick business trip in Richmond, Virginia. She has breakfast with Ray, and the two of them kiss each other goodbye, and she jumps in her car and drives off to Richmond. She doesn't know this, but this will be the last time she ever sees her husband alive.
Damn.
While Allison was away, she gets to her hotel for her business trip. She starts calling, and Ray doesn't answer the phone. So she's like, all right, maybe he's busy. She leaves a voicemail, but he never called her back. And almost the entire day goes by, and she didn't get any phone call back from him. And now she's really starting to worry. So one of Allison's friends, her name is Claudia. Claudia was staying with the two of them for a couple days because Claudia was traveling from LA to New York City. And they were friends for a while. So she's staying in Baltimore with them before heading to New York City.
And this is before his wife left.
Yeah, she had been there for a few days.
Yeah, she can't stay with the husband if the wife's not there.
No, not at all. So she was going to be leaving within a couple days after Allison went on her business trip. So Allison calls Claudia and says, hey, have you seen Ray? Because I've been calling him all day. I got to my hotel. He normally wants me to call him and tell him when I get there. I got here and he hasn't returned my phone calls. I don't know what's going on. Claudia says, yes, I actually did see him. He was in his office working, like editing a video, but his phone rang. And he goes, oh, shit. And he ran out of the house. And I haven't seen him since. That was earlier this evening. So Allison said, okay, that's really weird. Well, if you see him, please tell him to call me back because I'm getting a little worried. She's a little upset, but she ends up falling asleep. She's like waiting for him to call back, but she falls asleep while she's waiting. And the next morning at 5 a.m., she's woken up by Claudia calling her, saying that Ray never came home, that he left after he yelled, oh shit, he left the house and he never came back.
So Claudia is sleeping at the house with the husband, but it's not her husband?
Yeah, I know you're very distracted by this. She was there for like a week, just passing through. She's been friends with Allison for a long time, and she's staying there, and within a few days, she's going to New York City.
Nah, you got to keep passing, bro. I ain't home.
I get it.
I don't like that.
I understand, but that's not the point.
Because that's like if one of my friends wanted to stay here, I probably would say no. But if I did say yes, it would only be when I was here. And then once I'm not here, you're not here.
I totally get that.
You ain't be sitting in my house scratching your balls when I'm not there.
I totally get that. But let's not miss the point.
It's the only point I remember.
Let's not miss the point that Ray leaves the house after yelling, "Oh shit," and then never comes back. Okay. So Allison's super worried at this point because she gets this phone call. Claudia tells her this. She leaves her business trip early. She's like, nah, I got to go back to Baltimore. I got to see what's going on with my husband. She starts calling everyone. She calls his friends, his family, asks, have you seen, calls the friends in Baltimore. Have you seen Ray? No one has seen him. She calls his family. Have you heard from him? Has he called you? No one's heard from him. She gets home and she sees his car is gone. But when she went in the house, nothing else is really gone. Like his wallet isn't there. His keys aren't there. But he didn't pack any clothes. He didn't do anything to prepare for like leaving for a trip or anything. So he just literally ran out of the house and then never came back. It was clear that he was in a rush when he left. So Ray's brother Angel and the rest of his family and even Allison's friends and family, everyone flew into Baltimore. Okay. Allison submitted a missing persons report that night and all the family comes. They kind of use their house as like this hub of a station pretty much of like making flyers. Everyone's staying there, multiple phone calls. They're calling all the hospitals in the area. They're taking shifts, going out, driving around, trying to find any kind of evidence of where Ray could be. Porter Stansberry, his friend, he was out of town too, but he flew back home to Baltimore as well and helped with the search effort.
Porter knows something because there's been a lot of Porter in this thing.
Well, Porter put up a $1,000 reward for any info leading to the discovery of Ray. He put it up himself. That was his reward, $1,000. I feel like that's a small amount, but whatever. We won't focus on that.
Well, it depends on who you are, whether it's a lot or not. But if you're throwing conferences and shit like
and
that,
you got money like that,
I think you might could
up it a little.
Yeah, do more than 1,000.
Well, the cell phone was still going to voicemail. There was no money coming out of his account, no spending on any of his credit cards. So on May 22nd, after 6 days, Allison's parents thought maybe they could drive around to all the parking lots and garages because, his car was missing too. So they were like, okay, let's drive around Baltimore City, look in all the parking lots and garages and see if we find his car.
Yeah.
And they do. They find his car in a parking lot on St. Paul Street, which is like a pretty main road in Baltimore. And the parking lot attendant said that car was not there the night before because this parking lot attendant worked the shift last night and this morning. And he says, I came in this morning and the car was here, but it was not here when I left last night. This is 6 days since Ray went missing.
Oh, so someone just put it there many days after.
Yes. So the parking lot is right down the street from both the headquarters of Agora, okay, literally right down the block, and a very historic and well-known building to my Baltimore peeps, the infamous Belvedere Hotel. The Belvedere Hotel was a very famous hotel in the 1900s. Many famous people, presidents, rich people, all stayed there. But in 1991, it was converted into mixed-use office and residential condominiums. So to this day, half of the building is condos, half the building is office space. It's known to be haunted, and it's even on the walking ghost tour of Baltimore City because a lot of strange things happen in the Belvedere Hotel.
I'm surprised that all the times we've been to Baltimore that you've never went on the walking ghost tour.
Well, I mean, I lived there my whole life. I've gone to walking ghost tours in other cities, but maybe we should. That would be fun.
They're all bullshit, though.
That would be really fun.
But you don't get no ghosts. And wait a minute, now that I think about it, it's walking?
Yeah, you walk around all around like the historic Baltimore, like Mount Vernon area, the Inner Harbor, like that whole area.
Maybe we should do a crime tour instead. This is where this person got his head busted.
Crime in Baltimore, that would be tough because the crime in Baltimore is skyrocketed. It would be probably too overwhelming. So police check out the car and they honestly see nothing weird, right? No blood, nothing out of place. The only thing they can use the car for is they're like, well, if the car's here, maybe Ray is in this area. That's really the only thing they get from the car because nothing is weird in the car.
Or someone might come back for it. Like whoever put it there too.
True. Could
or maybe
come back
not.
for it.
But why would they put it in that garage?
Yes, exactly. So Ray's brother and 2 other friends decide to go on the roof of the parking garage. It's kind of a random thought, but to be honest, they wanted kind of an aerial view of the area around. So they all climb to the top of this parking garage. And when they do, they look across the way to the lower roof of the Belvedere Hotel, and they see a flip-flop and a hole in the roof of the Belvedere Hotel. Flip-flops is what he was wearing when he left the house.
How did they know?
Because Claudia told them a description of what he was wearing.
Oh, yeah.
So the hole they see was described as no smaller than a Frisbee, but no bigger than a hula hoop. Okay, so it's not a big hole. Like, you think about how big a hula hoop is, it's not bigger than that, and it's not smaller than a Frisbee. So it kind of gives you an idea of the size of the hole. So they immediately bring everybody up. Cops, friends, family, everybody. They bring them up to the top of the roof, and they show them the flip-flop, and they show them the hole. And they're, I'm trying to get you to understand the picture. So they're standing on this parking garage. The lower roof of the Belvedere Hotel is like kind of across the way, and they can see down because the parking garage is higher than the lower roof, right?
Yeah.
So they asked the manager to give them access to the room that part of the roof was covering, that was connected to. Turns out it was an unused part of the building. It used to be where the pool was. But when it was converted from a hotel to the mixed-use residential and business, they ended up using it for storage.
Okay.
So when the manager opens the door to the room, police discover Rey Rivera's decomposing body. Ray's body was in horrible shape, okay? Horrible. He had both his legs were broken, open fractures, 24 broken ribs, broken pelvis, multiple skull fractures, and many lacerations and bruises all over him.
Damn, they beat the crap out of him.
Now, interesting you say that. Keep that in your mind as we move forward. So they send Ray's body to the medical examiner to get an autopsy and try to determine a cause of death. The autopsy comes back as inconclusive, okay? Now, there's a book that's written about this case. It's called An Unexplained Death. And I didn't read it, but I read a lot of excerpts from it. It's by an author named Makita Brothman. She was living in the building at the time that this happened. Okay. She was living there. She watched the whole entire thing play out, the whole investigation, everything. And she wrote this book about it because living there, she talked to all the neighbors. She was her actual apartment, the condo she lived in, the bedroom window, she can see exactly the hole that Ray's body was, the hole in the roof where Ray's body was through, okay? So she says both Ray's flip-flops were on the roof about 60 feet apart. The other things that were on the roof were his glasses and his cell phone. Both of them were not broken. The glasses and cell phone were like placed on the roof, which is really bizarre. They were completely intact. Ray used this money clip instead of a wallet, kind of like you. You use a money clip instead of a wallet. And this particular money clip was a family heirloom. It was an heirloom that was passed down for years, and he even got it engraved with his initials, RR. This money clip was nowhere to be found. It was gone. But his ID and his credit card were in his pockets. And everyone says, like, that never happens. He keeps all his stuff together in his money clip. So someone took his money clip.
Yeah.
And only his driver's license and his credit card were in there in his pockets. To this day, the money clip, to this day, has never been found. What?
I just always laugh when you say "to this day." Deontay Wilder is a boxer, and he made this the saying famous. To this day.
Oh,
you should put that little clip in there.
I should.
To this day. To this day.
To this day,
He gets so excited.
the money clip has never been found. The homicide detective that was put on this case completely believed that this scene, the flip-flops, the glasses, and the phone being placed on the roof, was all staged. Like, he believed it was a staged scene. But the rest of the Baltimore PD, they started coming to the conclusion that this was a suicide, that Ray jumped. Listen, that Ray jumped. They believe he climbed to the top of the Belvedere Hotel, jumped off to his death, fell through the lower roof, and into that room. When you look at pictures, there's tons of pictures online about this case. This case is like so web sleuthy. You know, Reddit goes crazy over this case because it even gets so much weirder. But when you look at the hole, like pictures of the hole, it looks tiny to me. I'm sorry, but it's really small. And I'll show you later, but it is super small. I'll post it on our socials when I release this episode.
But think about how small a hole could be, like, if you, like, jump into a pool feet first. It won't be that big.
I don't know. It's when you watch a lot of stuff about this case, it seems pretty unlikely that first of all, both of his legs were broken. His shins were broken. So, like, you'd have to be falling feet first.
Like you're trying to streamline into a pool.
Yeah. Like feet first down into this.
Well, if you're going to jump, that's how you jump.
No, normally when people jump, don't they just like fall? Like if they're falling to commit suicide, they just fall off. They don't jump feet first.
I don't know. I never saw anyone actually jump.
No, but I wouldn't think you would be focused if you're planning to kill yourself. I don't think you're focused on like standing straight up and jumping feet first. I don't know. To me, it's just weird. They release a statement saying that the security footage in the building was very extensive, but due to a malfunction, there's no footage available for the day of May 16th. So that particular day, there's no footage available. So at this point, Allison is devastated, but simultaneously she's pissed, okay? Because there is, in her mind, absolutely no way her husband killed himself. They had so many plans. They had a vacation coming up. They were moving back to LA. This was not possible in her mind. There was just too many plans made. To her, it was unfathomable that he would kill himself. Allison ended up meeting with the medical examiner, and the medical examiner said to her, quote, "I know what they're trying to do, and I will not close this case. This is not a suicide." The medical examiner said that to her.
How does the medical examiner know?
Because their job is to determine the cause of death. And the medical examiner said the way that his shins were broken is not consistent with jumping off of something.
Okay, so now then I could understand that.
Yeah. You know, like I said, he would have to jump foot first. And that's just not consistent with like most suicide situations. So the medical examiner was totally against this and really wanted to keep the case open and not rule it a suicide. So she ruled it inconclusive. Now, this is where the story gets weird, okay? And very interesting, but very weird. All right?
Mm-hmm.
Police pull the cell records, and the call that Ray got before he ran out of his house came from Agora headquarters. After that, first day of the investigation, his friend Porter, he lawyered up right away after the first day of the investigation. And on top of lawyering up, he put a gag order on every single employee at Agora.
Did he lawyer up when the police decided to talk to him, or he was lawyered up beforehand?
He lawyered up after the first day. So I don't know if
the police called him.
Yeah, I don't know. They hadn't pulled the cell records yet.
But it's always important to lawyer up, even if you're innocent, because a lot of times it seems like police or investigators always just want to get a conviction. They don't necessarily care if justice was served.
That is true. But the fact that he put a gag order on every employee at Agora and all the subsidiaries under the umbrella of Agora seems a little weird to me. That's a little excessive. So now the next part adds to the weirdness, okay?
There's nothing really weird yet.
Well, this is where it gets weird.
Like I guess it's weird that he's been beaten up and stuff.
Well, you don't know that. They think he jumped.
Well, the ribs, I guess, I don't know.
They think he got those injuries from jumping.
He could have jumped.
So Allison found a very mysterious and super weird, terrifying note in Ray's office. The note was actually folded up and taped to the back of his computer. Very bizarre. Like, why? Why would you tape it there? Right? So now, this note...
I don't know if it's bizarre until I hear the note.
Well, I'm going to read it to you. So the note is interesting because Allison has held on to it all these years and she won't release the full note to the media. But there's a lot of pictures online of the note because cops had to take pictures of it for the evidence file. Okay. Allison won't release the note, but on Reddit, there are a lot of people who have looked at the pictures of the note and they've transcribed it as best they can based on the pictures that are available.
What do you think the reason she wouldn't release the note is? Wouldn't it help in the investigation?
Because the note is so bizarre. Okay. When I read this to you, it's really bizarre. And to be honest, it kind of makes you think something might have been going on in this guy's head. Okay. So I think that's one of the reasons she doesn't, because in her mind, I don't think she wants anyone to think he was having like a psychotic break or whatever. So it starts off with brothers and sisters. Right now, around the world, volcanoes are erupting. What an awesome sight. Whom virtue unites, death will not separate. That's the first line of it. Allison Googled this phrase, and when she did, a bunch of links came up about the Freemasons. Turns out Ray was very interested in the Freemasons and like secret societies in general. He really found them fascinating. And he had just recently purchased a book a few weeks earlier called Freemasonry for Dummies. You know, I find secret societies really fascinating too.
I guess they are, but I do know someone that's a Freemason and they post all these pictures at like their lodge or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't look that cool, and it doesn't look like they know anyone, and it looks like you can be a straight corn on the cob and get in there.
Corn on the cob.
It doesn't look that cool.
I mean, they have a lot of secret rituals, and no one knows what those rituals are.
Because they're probably so dumb that if you tell someone what they are, they're like, we can't join you, do that.
Well, let me tell you. Okay, so Freemasons are a secret society. They started in England in the Middle Ages. The first Freemason lodge opened up actually in 1717. So like they're pretty old, 1717. That's when it evolved to this like secret society that it is today. There are 6 million members of the Freemasons.
Exactly. It's not that exclusive. I've seen the members.
That's true. There are tons of...
Their lodge has like wood paneling on the walls. They're not even up to date.
Well, that's true. I've never been to a lodge, but you've seen pictures?
Yeah, they're not. I know someone who posts them all the time.
Oh, okay. Well, there are tons of rituals that are performed in these Mason lodges. They aren't allowed to talk about the rituals they do, and they're actually performed the exact same way that they've been performed since the beginning. So they don't veer off. Like they've been doing the same rituals, and these rituals were used in King Solomon's temple. Like they're old rituals. They also include ritual sacrifices. I'm not saying that Freemasons sacrifice things, but that's part of the things that were happening in King Solomon's temple. So everyone who's anyone, though, is a Freemason, right? There's 6 million of them, but tons of presidents, tons of celebrities, lots of uber rich people. Like a lot of people are in the Freemasons. Really, don't make that face at me. They really are.
No, I used to think it was something too till I've seen the pictures.
Okay, well, if there's any Freemasons listening, feel free to email us, wifeofcrimepod@gmail.com, and let us know what you can tell us about your secret society.
I think it's just cool, like, come in here and tell people we do cool shit. But all we do is sit here for an hour and be like, all right, time's up, guys. We look like we did enough.
They wear, like, interesting little robes or whatever. They, like, I think it's interesting. I just think it's interesting because it's mysterious.
Yeah.
So I'm going to read you the Reddit transcription of the letter. And this isn't the full letter because there's some things that people can't figure out. But I'm going to read you what the sleuths have pieced together. Shout out to the Reddit user that posted this. It must have taken them a lot of time. They've since deleted their account. I don't know your username, but shout out to you. Thank you for doing this so I can read this. Okay, here it goes. It's long. You ready? Pay
No,
attention.
if it's long.
It's long. Brothers and sisters, right now around the world, volcanoes are erupting. What an awesome sight. Whom virtue unites, death will not separate. That was a well-played game. Congratulations to all who participated. I hope you enjoyed it. It was time to wake up, so here I am. I'd like to welcome those who accepted our invitations for membership during the game. I couldn't have done it without you. I look on this endeavor to find the truth, but for its own sake, in accepting this quest for the truth, I hope to wake myself, with the help of others, into a man ready, worthy to receive it. Members of the council, please note that I will lend peaceful concentration to the traditional responsibilities in light of these proceedings. I will sadly or gladly the standard request for this council within the appropriate time. Again, well done to all who participated. Before I continue with my instructions for the council, the prize for my service, I'd like to allow Porter Stansberry to choose his prize. Now that the game is finished, I expect the council to recompensate those who have given to this venture. Along with myself, these players should be made 5 years younger by the council. And then he names like a ton of people, including Porter Stansberry, including his family. He names, Elena, his sister, Angel, his brother, his dad. And then he names like a bunch of other people he knows and works with. Okay, which very bizarre.
You know why they pick 5 years younger?
Why?
That they'll make you?
Why?
Because it's such a minuscule amount that you won't be able to tell if someone was 5 years younger. I pretty much look the same. Now, if you would have said 20, like, oh, dip, your boy is back. But you say 5, I kind of look the same, dude.
Well, the letter goes on to say, brothers and sisters, our land of achievements has seen many ideas and new innovations since my game began. Radio frequency identification, digital music players. So then he goes on and names all these new innovations that have come out. And it says since the game has begun, so I don't know if he meant since he was born or what, but he names like all these different things like overnight express shipping, internet, ethernet, MPEG, JPEG, MP3, AFF, like literally Invisalign. The rights, patents, and proceeds.
He really loves Invisalign.
The rights, patents, and proceeds for all of them should have been transferred to me by now. I know that Porter Stansberry has created a way for you to do so. So see, he's named Porter Stansberry 3 times in this. My primary residence, which includes a beautiful piece of property in northern Argentina, and I'm told a mansion in Buenos Aires. Well done, Porter. In Europe, you can visit me at a flat in Venice or Madrid. Although if I'm in Spain, I'll probably be at the OB. In Asia, you will be able to find me in Thailand. Another job well done, Porter. I will keep the bad houses in Los Feliz, California, and this house in San Francisco. Then he says, I'd like to briefly mention some movies and books that I found very inspiring and compelling. I'd like to meet any of you who helped contribute to these works. And these are the movies that he names. Pay attention. The Matrix, 1, 2, and 3. National Treasure, The Da Vinci Code, Eyes Wide Shut, Demon Days. November Rain, Meet Joe Black, Minority Report. And he goes down and names all these movies. 7, The Game, Payback. And specifically, let me say that I expect M. Night Shyamalan to continue coming up with great ideas. I really enjoyed his movies. So that's what's written on this paper that's taped to the back of his computer. And his wife is like, first of all, why? What is this? Like, what does it mean? Is it a letter? Like, what is it? And why is it folded up and taped to the back of his computer? And what is he naming Porter Stansberry many times throughout here? And what is he talking about? The Game. What is The Game?
It's a movie.
No, he's talking about the game in the letter.
He didn't write that.
Yes, he did. He wrote it.
I thought someone wrote it to him, and he's like part of the Freemasons, and this is a letter that they received. Or maybe he's not part of a Freemason. Maybe he is or isn't, but this is like a letter given to them from Freemasons.
No, this is what apparently he wrote. I mean, we don't know for sure that he wrote it, but Who else would have wrote it? He's talking about his best friend Porter Stansberry in it multiple times. So who could have wrote it if it wasn't him?
The Freemason crew.
So this case takes you down a total rabbit hole, and the Reddit threads are nuts. And there are a lot of theories. So we're going to talk about theories. So in the letter that Ray might have written, you think maybe he didn't write it.
That.
He mentions The Game. The Game is a film that was made by David Fincher in 1997, starring Michael Douglas.
I actually watched this one.
Well, in the end of the movie, how does the movie end?
I don't remember, though.
It ends when Michael Douglas jumps off the roof of a building and dies.
That's right.
In an eerily similar way to Rey Rivera. A lot of people see this as a note that is the ramblings of a person suffering a psychotic break. And I can totally see that. Like, I could see that that's a possibility. He was increasingly more paranoid. He was acting very anxious in the days leading up to his death. And this note is super random. So if it's something that he wrote, like, it sounds pretty nutty, right? It sounds like a lot of random things put together.
It's a lot of blabbering.
Others say no, he was a screenwriter. He wrote screenplays. So, like, maybe these are all random notes.
That's true.
Maybe these are notes written down related to a screenplay that he was planning to write. But then why was it taped to the back of his computer?
I don't think he wrote it.
You don't?
Nope.
Other people think that Agora was involved in some criminal shit. And maybe someone murdered Ray and staged the entire thing to make it look like a suicide. And maybe Porter Stansberry was involved. Porter didn't attend his funeral, and he was supposed to be one of his closest friends. And he lawyered up right away, and he put a gag order on the entire company. So a lot of people look at Porter as a very suspicious person.
I could see that.
Did this have to do with Freemasonry at all? Is it even a factor? Like, was it a coincidence that this language was used in this letter and that he was reading Freemasonry for Dummies? Like, we have no idea. But his family firmly believes, and his wife firmly believes, this is absolutely not a suicide at all. And I don't know what happened to Ray, but it's definitely not like a simple open and shut case like the Baltimore PD are trying to say. Like, this dude climbed to the top of this building. First of all, this building is very ornate. If you see the Belvedere Hotel, very ornate around the top. So to even get up there, climb out of a window, there are ballrooms on that floor. I will say there are ballrooms up there. So you can get up there and you can get out onto the top. But you're on this ledge that's like really skinny and ornate. So to get up there, it's like not easy. And to get to the point where he could have jumped to get into that hole or cause that hole where it is.
He had to cause the hole.
Yeah, for him to cause that hole, he'd have to move down to the middle of the roof where all this ornate stuff was. And people are like, how could he have done that without falling? So it's very interesting. And this note brings it to a really weird level.
I don't think he wrote the note. I think maybe he received it and put it on the back of his computer, or someone else put it there.
But why do you think he would tape it to the back of his computer?
Maybe to remember to read it later. I don't know about
And why is Porter's name mentioned so much?
Because Porter's probably in the Freemasons.
Maybe.
Anyone could get in, I'm telling you. I've seen the crew.
Don't you have to be invited?
Probably, or you could just like find a guy at Walmart or something. I think they give out pamphlets.
They do not. You have to be invited by somebody. Like, you have to be, like, initiated in, I think.
Yeah, but I wouldn't join even if they asked me.
No, I'm not talking about you. He would have had to been invited in.
You probably got to get, like, spanked as the initiation with a paddle or something.
I doubt that.
Probably, like a what do they call it? Sororities?
So it is the oldest sorority in America.
There you go.
Well, and around the world. I mean, there's lodges all over the world. So this case is very fascinating to me, honestly. I'm so fascinated by it. Like, my gut instinct, like, I don't think that this dude killed himself. I don't think he jumped off the top of the Belvedere Hotel. To me, what it looks like is he was beat up for some reason. Because also his car. Why was his car all of a sudden there?
Who moved his car
5 days later?
after he's been dead for them days?
Yeah. So, like, the car is weird.
So because his car is moved, to me, that means it wasn't a suicide. But also, why would anyone move the car anyway and just not leave it where it was?
Yeah. And another thing that points to it not being a suicide is the fact that his glasses and his cell phone were on the roof that he went through, but they weren't broken. If you're falling that far with enough velocity to get through a roof and create a hole, do you think your glasses would make it and your cell phone?
Depends on who
it?
built the roof, because I feel like where we live, the condo, you could throw a pebble through and it'll probably fall through.
But I don't think his glasses and his cell phone wouldn't have been broken.
I just don't know.
And that all those factors to me just don't point to suicide. So this case is still cold. It was featured on Unsolved Mysteries. I think it's one of the first. I think it might be the first episode of this new Unsolved Mysteries. You can watch that and see the actual Belvedere Hotel, kind of see how it's constructed. You can see the lower roof of how he would have jumped off of there, and how it's like with physics, it's kind of, people are like, it's really improbable that he could make it this far, because when he's jumping, it's
he
like
is an
40
athlete.
feet. He is, but like,
Maybe he took a running start.
You can't. The ledge is so tiny that he would have had to jump from. There's no way to take a running start. And that's why people find this weird and think there's no way this could have been him jumping off of the roof.
It doesn't seem like it, because if you were going to fall through and make a small hole like that, you would have had to jump feet first and kind of blast through it.
Yep.
And so there's something fishy.
Very fishy. Listen, I don't know what happened to him, but I don't think it was a suicide. I think someone beat him up, somehow took him to the roof of this hotel.
Pushed him?
I don't know if someone...
No, it's a ledge. You can't push him.
No, I don't think anyone pushed him. I think they took him to that lower roof, and maybe he fell through while he was up there getting beat up. Maybe he fell through the roof.
Maybe that could have happened.
Yeah, like maybe he fell through the roof.
Because do you think someone couldn't have pushed him, and then someone pushed, or maybe they beat him up in the place he already was at, right? Mm-hmm. But then they're like, let's just make a hole in the roof. People would hear you banging up the roofs to make it look like he fell through.
Yeah. And the fact that his glasses and his cell phone were on the roof, I don't know. This case is such a head scratcher. It really drives me nuts.
Yeah.
And the fact that I'm from Baltimore, it's one of those things that's always been there, like in the back of my head, like as one of the cases that I've really always thought about. Like,
oh, so you knew about this beforehand?
Oh yeah, I've known about this for years. It's one of those true crime cases that's like, so frustrating. Like you literally...
To this day,
you read all the Reddit stuff about it, and it's like, it drives you nuts. Like you're going through all these different theories. I mean, do I think that he had a psychotic break? If you think that he wrote that note, then yes, I could see why someone would think that. But I don't think he killed himself. I don't think he had a psychotic break. I really don't. I kind of agree with you. I don't know if he wrote this.
Well,
and if he did...
Write he's a writer, so he could write some, they write some fancy stuff. It could be a poem that you snap your fingers to or something.
Another thing is, maybe he had this book, Freemasonry for Dummies, because he had an idea for a movie that had to do with secret societies. And so this is like notes that he's writing that he's planning to turn into a screenplay. Quotes from the Freemasons that he wrote at the top. Like that to me makes sense. As someone who writes ideas down and stuff, I could totally see that.
I could see that too.
I don't believe, like you said, that he wrote that though, just as a letter, like a suicide note. But the Baltimore Police Department, they believe this is his suicide note. They have pretty much come to the conclusion this is his suicide note. He suffered a psychotic break.
Note, bro. Compared to the other suicide notes that I'm so sorry for leaving, stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's not a suicide note. This boy started saying he's supposed to receive money from all these movies that or something. Get out of here.
And they believe this was like a suicide note. And some people believe he was like living out the movie, The Game. Like since Michael Douglas died in the same
I could
fashion.
See why someone would say that.
Yeah.
But not the suicide. Well, I don't know.
It's very odd. Very odd.
Nothing makes sense.
It makes no sense. So that's where I have to leave this one because that's all we know. We don't really know anything else. And this case remains cold and open. And Allison has since moved back to LA, moved on with her life. but she's very vocal about how none of this makes sense and she just wishes she had answers.
Yeah, it's sad.
And that's the case of Rey Rivera.
All right, folks. Well, this is another week in the books.
Yep. Check us out on Instagram at Wife of Crime Pod and Facebook at Wife of Crime the Crime Family and Patreon at Wife of Crime Pod.
And YouTube, where we will be posting more videos. We got a few up there now.
Yeah, we got some videos. We're going to post
and
more.
And a cartoon. And we thought it was funny.
We think everything we put out is funny. Hopefully you guys do too. We're not just laughing at ourselves.
Everything's funny except when I'm talking not on the microphone. She never thought I was funny.
Oh, that's not true.
Every day before this podcast, she would always go, "You're not funny. That's not funny." And thank you guys.
Well, usually it's because you were making fun of me.
Thank you guys for confirming that you guys have the same sense of humor as me.
Yes. All right.
Hashtag Zac Efron is not hot.
All right, everyone. Have a wonderful week. Bye.
Peace.